Mikael, thank you so much for speaking.
Thank you for having me and welcome everybody. So yes, this is me. I'm founder of SensorTrend. SensorTrend is a health tech startup focused on diabetes. We do remote monitoring, care plans, and all of that. And then I also have this title of FHIR Ambassador of HL7 Finland. So in that capacity, I have the mandate and role to advance the uptake of FHIR standards in Finland. And part of that is the FHIR demo that we now did for third time. And the learning objectives is not really go through each of the individual demos that we did, but mainly through the concept and how you can all use it in your countries, jurisdictions, areas to really boost the use of FHIR. And a little bit of history. So this is a nice continuum of events. The HL7 Finland organized an IHE demo event in 2010. I wasn't around back then, but they organized another FHIR demo event in 2016, 6 years later. And then I was part of that as one demo participant. And then in 2022, we thought, hey, this is kind of an sexennial event taking part each 6 years. So really prestigious. Even Olympics take place every fourth year. This is even more rare. Let's do it each 6 years. So a sexennial, and we thought, okay, we'll do the FHIR demo again. And of course, we also faced some kind of frustration in Finland. Since 2016, then we thought that, yes, this FHIR is great. Everybody's embracing it. Now it will just start up. But we didn't see that happening. So the uptake had been slower than we thought. And we analyzed a lot of the reasons why is this. And okay, I think still the major reason is that things are working pretty fine as they do with existing standards. And replacing those is hard. But still, for all kind of new stuff, we should use newer technologies. Right, thank you. How did I miss to do that? It's because the previous presentation was on when I arrived. Can the people see that now? Sorry about that. And I can show this. So this was the first slide, and this was my introductory slide. And then these were the learning objectives. And right now we are here on the history slide. So still continuing to the history. So last year's FHIR demo, the main message really was smart on FHIR. And we really wanted to say that, hey, this stuff is ready. It's really fast to implement. It is being used. And please just start adopting that for all the organizations who didn't already adopt it. And the main message was that, especially for these apps, this is the app vision of the smart app launch, that EHRs will become platforms for all kinds of apps, patient-facing apps and provider-facing apps, as these guys have become platforms for apps. So you as an individual clinician ideally could choose from a dozen apps the one that really optimizes your workflow. And it might be a healthcare organization choosing apps, or a clinic, or an individual physician. And really the EHR vendors can't do that. And I think at least the biggest ones saw this vision already in 2014. And since that, they have kind of built on this vision that we do a really good base platform, and then we have some kind of an app store on top of that, and we'll have plenty of apps extending the capabilities and then optimizing it for certain specific workflows. And this was the main message we wanted to deliver. And the other one was that, yes, FHIR is really fast to implement and to take into use, and there's developer power available because it's based on these available well-known standards, as we all know here. So that demo case is still online. The visual look is something like that. And this is one of the key messages. We had more than a dozen platforms, as we call those. So systems where we integrate, and more than a dozen apps connecting to those. And this is presented as a matrix, but it was not an intention that we'd fill all the boxes, but we just wanted to show that, yes, there are integrations. And the most popular platform to connect to was Epic. The reason for that is that we have a big Epic installation in Finland called Apotti. But in order to get to Apotti, you first need to start in Epic's platform. So the way the process goes is you go to FHIR epic.com and you set up your app. And once you finalize your kind of basic integration there, then you go to Apotti, and there you need to do some kind of paperwork, so agreements and so on, and then you get actually into their environment. So most of the Finnish companies start with Epic and then proceed from there. And then the other one is, of course, that SensorTrend built the most integrations. We are happy to do that. And I'm happy to share any other details on that demo if you have questions. And this year, our main message was to focus on the Finnish base profiles. So we generated the base profile specification, started last year, finalized it this year, and it's gone through the ballot. It's still waiting for the official publication, but the ballot has been passed. And we wanted to spread that message to all the providers, healthcare organizations, for instance, or hospitals or systems purchasing new stuff. We wanted to say, hey, there is this base profile specification that you can use in your tender processes. For instance, if you're acquiring new system, let them conform to this specification. And we also wanted to extend to Nordics, so make it a bit bigger than just a Finnish demo. And of course, also continue advocating for this app vision through smart apps. And regarding the Nordic flavor, we also took a look at the Danish core specification, and this is ours. And then we have the Norwegian base profiles and the Swedish ones. And we also had this message that we have all these base profile specifications in the Nordic countries, and Finland has profiled some resources, Norway also quite a few, and Denmark, Sweden, a lot less resources in their base profiles. But this is really the main message, that there are only 3 resource types where all of us had something to say. And in the Nordic context, we are currently advocating for that, some kind of cooperation to go ahead from here. Currently, we've all been developing these in silos, and we'd see really great promise in creating all the Nordic countries to be one market area towards both the app vendors and the systems vendors. So that was also a part of the message. Again, we got good number of participants, 23 this time, I guess. And we implemented a really cool feature, that's the filter on top. So if you're interested in certain kind of resource, you can just tag that resource and filter, see which demos are relevant to that. And there are, most of these are the resource types in the profile specification, but there's also some specific ones like FHIR server, so who offers a FHIR server, and then, for instance, open source. So which of these demos contain something that you can just see how it works and take into use in your own products. And this is just an example of our demo. So it has links to the base profile specifications and FHIR specification and so on. And on the side, it tells what we actually do. Go check that out. And these are the events where we are publicizing this or advertising. So sosiaali- ja terveydenhuollon ATK-päivät is the Finnish healthcare IT event, and Vitalis is the Swedish one, and this year they occurred at the same week. For some reason, made it a bit challenging to be on both. And then right now I'm here at the FHIR DevDays advertising this. And next week there's the new Radical Health Festival in Helsinki. And that's also a conference where we have a slot to tell about this. And not just a slot, so this is an image from the Finnish IT event. We had all the participants had this kind of fancy foil balloons advocating their FHIR enthusiasm. And then we had guided tours through the exhibition venue. Okay, they are doing FHIR, they are doing this stuff with FHIR, they are doing this stuff with FHIR. And the guided tours had some 30 to 40 participants and required some kind of loud noise in the exhibition hall, but really nice way of getting publicity on FHIR. And in addition to this, what we're doing in the autumn is we are starting a roadshow. So in Finland, we now have 23 well-being services counties, as we call them. The rest of the Nordic countries call them regions, but anyway, larger jurisdictional areas. And we go to their decision makers and IT architects and CIOs and tell, hey, this is FHIR and all of this exists already, and just start using that. And some info about cost. So the HL7 Finland, the country affiliate, pays Sensotrend some 10,000 euros to organize this, but there's no other money exchanging hands. And that's also part of the key message. We all do this in our spare time, all the demo integrations and so on. And then we can just say, hey, it doesn't take hundreds of thousands or millions of euros, and doesn't take months or years to make these integrations. It's a couple of minutes or a week for a couple of people to come together and do this integration. And that's also a powerful message to give to the healthcare organizations. And finally, FHIR Demo 24. So we are repeating this. And if you're interested in being part, then be in touch. And we want to make it bigger and better and even more international. So currently we don't have an idea whether we should do that as European or Nordic or whatever demo case, but that also depends on you guys. So be in touch and let us know whether you'd be interested and whether you see value in bringing this to the bigger market. And that's the wrap-up slide. So I hope you learned something about what we do to really boost the awareness and uptake of FHIR standards on all the products that use FHIR. And also something about the Nordic and Finnish-based profiles and the call to action for next year. And here you can grab my sleeve or find me in Huva. And later than that, email or LinkedIn or Twitter. And time for questions.
Thank you so much, Mikael. That was some great energy for the morning too. So I'll walk around. If anyone has questions, give you the mic, and please speak clearly for the people online if you do have a question.
So I can see that you have like promoted uptake of the standard through like going through these roadshows. And I also see that you like mainly do your communication towards companies, or maybe I'm wrong. So did you consider what will make like public decision makers like take the standard into account when they're doing they're buying new systems or doing tenders for big systems and things like that? So improving that side of thing is actually one of the focus points of HL7 Denmark.
Yeah.
So I think there's like two sides in it, and it would be interesting to hear your thoughts.
Exactly. And the latter one is really what we're aiming for. So it's really the industry and the companies and everybody who's already doing FHIR coming together and really targeting the healthcare organizations and the decision makers on both public and private healthcare, but public is even tougher. So really to address that population and say that, hey, there is this new world and you should look at that and kind of discard some of your past experiences of integrations costing millions of dollars and then producing something in 2 years that might not even work. And hey, this FHIR stuff, this is totally different. And that's really the message. And also the base profiles, we say that, okay, they take these into use. It will make your life easier. You don't need to write as many requirements yourselves. You can just point to these base profiles and ask system vendors to comply to these. So that is especially the audience that we are aiming to target. And also the roadshow that we're starting, it is for these well-being services counties and their decision makers. And all of these guided tours and the demos that we did on the local IT events that attracted enough attention that we found the right people to talk to. And now we have a good list for the roadshow. So it is kind of gradually growing and step-by-step approach. But yes, the pain points are especially there.
Are there any online questions?
I have a question. Do any of you do this kind of thing in your countries, or do you know of anybody doing something like this?
Thank you. I'm speaking for the Netherlands. I know we have some of these trade show floors where they do connectathon-like demos, like they do at HIMSS and RSNA, to show how interoperability works.
Yeah.
As for the roadshow, I believe that UK, so HL7 UK, has the longest experience in Europe with doing roadshows. So they have been doing that, I think, at least for the last 10 years or something. So you may definitely wish to touch base with them because they have just been doing this the longest time. But I think it's more in the form of doing stuff at conferences, the trade shows, than anything else. So the roadshow, the only one I've heard of is the UK one.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I hadn't heard of that. And let's exchange some contact information. So I'd like to hear from that.
Hi, Maarten Lichtvoet, Nictis, Netherlands also. Yeah, and I saw in another presentation also that there's not sure actually what your question was, whether we're doing the same as in organizing roadshows or are on routes developing these core profiles, etc. And I see there's some work being done to also cooperate model-wise, more functionally talking. So I guess there's a chance there to align and harmonize and work together countrywide. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, really good. So my question now was mainly about this boosting FHIR uptake and what do you do in your countries? How do you get parties involved? But excellent point regarding harmonizing the development of base profiles. And for everybody, 1:30 at Freddy today, there is this event gathering all the national IG authors and other IG authors as well. And we try to first harmonize some of the approaches to IG development and optimally even kick off some kind of a recurring event. Could we have monthly Teams calls between all the IG authors and so on, just to share experiences, learn from each other. And we had the opening session or one of the sessions on Tuesday, where I said that my experiences is in many countries, when you start to develop an IG, you get funding and mandates to develop that IG, but that doesn't cover any kind of international cooperation, reach out or any of that. And I think that's definite small thing that we need to fix whenever somebody starts to develop an IG, some percentage of their work should be reserved for reaching out, learning what others have done, and then also publicizing what you've done and harmonizing that once you're doing. So in Nordic countries, pretty much we've developed our base profiles in silos simultaneously and could have reached much better solutions if we'd talk to each other.
I think we're at time. I think maybe we continue the discussion after the session, but thank you so much. This was great and can't wait for the Finnish FHIR demo next year.
Yes, and it might be Nordic or European, up to you. Be in touch.